promises made by Tinubu and how he did not fulfill any of them, like at all. All right, watch this and drop a thought in the comment.
On May 29, 2023, President Bola Tinubu stood in Eagle Square, Abuja, and made promises to millions of Nigerians. Not big ones, specific measurable ones, promises with numbers attached, promises made in his own voice to a country that was waiting. Renewed hope, he said. 3 years later, we went back to those promises. We pulled the switches, we checked the data and the current reality. This is what we found. In January 2023, Tinubu was on the campaign trail in Abeokuta, Ogun State. To the already anxious Nigerians, he says this.
Once I run the rifle, if I want, I need 200. I need back.
That day, petrol was just 257 naira per litre. On May 29, 2023, his very first day in office, his very first speech as president, this is what happened.
No provision is there for fuel subsidy. The fuel subsidy is gone.
And just like that, the first subsidy was gone. But the subsidy removal was hardly the issue. To be fair, economic analysts and bodies like PwC and the NESG agreed that the subsidy was unsustainable. It was costing trillions, draining oil revenues and starving infrastructure. The problem wasn't the removal, it was a lack of survival cushion. There was no transition plan either. It was just gone. Now, fuel is at an average of 1,350 naira per litre. In the space of 3 years, the price of petrol increased by about 500%. And because fuel is the engine of everything in Nigeria, food, transport, manufacturing, nothing stayed the same price. Tinubu promised to redirect the same money to infrastructure, education, healthcare. He said the pain was short-term and necessary for a longer-term pain. But Nigeria is still borrowing for all these things. And 3 years later, necessary and temporary pain seems to have become permanent. In October 2022, while Tinubu was on the campaign trail, making the case for why Nigerians should vote for him, he said this.
Whichever way, by all means necessary, you must have electricity. If I who keep the promise and I come back for second term, don't vote for me.
He did not say, I will work towards a better Nigeria. He did not say, we have a plan to improve power supply. He said, if I fail, don't vote for me. He set his own benchmark. So let's see if he met it. 3 years in, Nigeria has added approximately 1,000 megawatts toward a 15,000 megawatts promise. That is less than 7% of the target, with 1 year left on the clock he set for himself. And it's not just that the target is being missed. It is that for the average Nigerian, the power situation remains deeply broken, while becoming more expensive. Electricity tariffs were increased significantly in 2024. Bank A customers saw their tariff go from 68 naira per kilowatt hour to 225 naira. Nigerians are now paying more for the same darkness they have always lived with. When the presidency was asked to comment on the obvious failure in comparison to Tinubu's statements, here's what Daniel Bola, Tinubu's special advisor on policy communications, said.
So what he said was a statement of intent that is backed up by a commitment to make that happen. When you make such a commitment, the next thing is you put it to work, which is what we have been doing.
We are not telling you what to think, but don't let anybody gaslight you. We all heard Tinubu clearly the very first time. The same day he said, subsidy is gone. In that same inauguration speech, Tinubu also said this.
Food will be made more abundant, yet less costly.
By June 2024, Nigeria recorded its highest food inflation in 20 years. Food inflation hit 40.87%. A basket of food that cost 10,000 naira in June 2023 cost nearly 14,100 naira exactly 1 year later. And this wasn't hitting everyone equally. The people who fell to the hardest were the people who spent the largest proportion of their income on food, which in Nigeria means the poor, the working class, the market traders, and the daily wage earners. The people for whom food is not a line item in a budget, but is the budget. Within that same year, the number of food insecure Nigerians grew by 34 million people. That's larger than the entire population of Ghana. The last promise we're examining is the one that matters most to Nigerian youth. It's also from the inauguration speech, May 29, 2023.
We shall honor our campaign commitment of 1 million jobs and the digital economy.
That was the specific commitment, and it came with a timeline. During the campaign, the Renewed Hope Manifesto committed to cutting youth unemployment in half within 4 years, from 19 million unemployed young Nigerians in 2023 to 11.9 million by 2026. These aspirations are not vague aspirations. These are the numbers that can be checked, so checked. The government has pointed to plenty of fancy initiatives made on paper, like the digital literacy drive by MITSA or the $618 million IDICE framework, an investment program backed by international partners to jumpstart digital and creative enterprises. But try finding any independent data that proves these programs created real permanent jobs. We'll be waiting. What the MBS Labour Force Survey does tell us is this: youth unemployment has not been cut in half. The job market for young Nigerians, the people to whom this promise was specifically made, remains one of the most difficult in the world. To the young Nigerians watching this, you are the ones who were supposed to be the direct beneficiaries of that promise. You are the ones best positioned to say whether it arrived. Poor promises, fuel, electricity, food, jobs, all made on camera, in his own words, to Nigerians 3 years ago. We didn't write these promises, we didn't invent the data. Today, May 29th, 3 years since these promises were made, we're asking you directly, what's your